In a startling twist that left both Parliament and the general public in shock, Moni finally stepped forward with what he claimed to be the greatest secret about Cyril Ramaphosa that had been concealed until now. This was no quiet, behind-the-scenes disclosure. Instead, it was a loud, deliberate revelation meant for the entire nation to witness. For months, rumors and doubts had been mounting around the president, with citizens pressing for answers to unresolved scandals and lingering questions. Although South Africans had long grown used to whispers of political scheming and secretive deals, very few anticipated that such a dramatic accusation would erupt so openly. Moni's disclosure did not take place during an interview or in a private press briefing. It occurred in the very heart of Parliament, broadcast live to millions across the country. As the cameras rolled and the microphones amplified every syllable, his voice rang across the chamber with precision and fury. These were not vague suggestions but rather sharp, targeted accusations that sliced through the usual haze of political chatter. In that moment, the silence of unspoken suspicion was shattered, and a wave of shock swept across the room and spread through the nation. The truth, or at least a sensational interpretation of it, had been dragged into the light, and the consequences were only just beginning. According to Moni, Ramaphosa had spent years carefully cultivating an image of honesty, transparency, and reform. His campaigns painted him as the antidote to the ANC's damaged reputation, the man who would cleanse corruption and restore faith in governance. Yet, Moni argued that beneath the polished television-friendly exterior, the reality was far darker. The so-called big lie, as he called it, was that Ramaphosa was celebrated as a fighter of corruption when, in truth, he was not. Instead, Moni accused the president of being complicit in covering up shady deals, shielding political allies from accountability, and posing as a reformer while allowing corruption within the ANC to thrive unchecked. This accusation struck at the very foundation of Ramaphosa's political identity. His rise to power had been fueled by promises of reform and accountability after decades of scandal-ridden leadership. By claiming that Ramaphosa's image as a corruption fighter was nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion designed to placate the masses while protecting the entrenched elite, Moni wasn't just questioning the president's character, he was undermining the very basis of his presidency. If Moni's charges held truth, they would not merely weaken Ramaphosa's credibility, they would obliterate it altogether. The reaction inside Parliament was immediate and explosive. Gasps of disbelief echoed through the chamber as ANC loyalists leapt to their feet, shouting down Moni and accusing him of spreading dangerous lies. Meanwhile, members of the opposition seized the moment eagerly, pounding their desks, demanding order, and calling for a full investigation into the claims. The speaker's gavel cracked repeatedly in an attempt to restore calm, but the room buzzed with intensity. Every interruption, insult, and raised voice added to the sense that history was unfolding. For several chaotic hours, the chamber resembled a battlefield more than a formal parliamentary debate. Members shouted across the aisles, reporters rushed to capture every detail, and social media platforms exploded with real-time reactions. Outside Parliament, ordinary citizens who had expected nothing more than a routine sitting were left stunned. For many, it felt as though the very foundations of South Africa's political stability were splitting apart. What made the moment even more significant was not what followed, but what did not. Perhaps the most revealing element of the scandal was Ramaphosa's response, or his lack thereof. Known for his calm demeanor, measured language, and calculated patience, his silence after Moni's accusations was deafening. Instead of confronting the claims directly, he refrained from immediate comment, sparking speculation about whether this was a strategic delay or an admission of guilt. For years, Ramaphosa had weathered political storms with steady composure, cultivating the image of a thoughtful leader who would not succumb to chaos. But this time was different. The stakes were higher, and public patience had thinned. South Africans were tired of half-truths, delayed answers, and political evasions. They demanded clarity, and every moment of silence only deepened suspicion. The longer the president avoided directly addressing Moni's allegations, the more people began to suspect there was something he desperately wished to keep hidden. As the debate spilled beyond the chamber, the nation erupted in arguments. In the streets, cafes, and especially online, opinions flew in every direction. Twitter feeds were dominated by heated exchanges, TikTok creators released instant analysis videos, and Facebook groups hosted marathon discussions. Clips of the fiery parliamentary clash went viral, racking up millions of views. Hashtags demanding justice, accountability, and transparency climbed to the top of trending lists. Many citizens sided with Moni, applauding his bravery and insisting that someone had finally spoken the truth without fear of reprisal. They viewed his directness as a reflection of the growing frustration among ordinary people who were weary of watching leaders shirk responsibility. Yet others defended Ramaphosa, dismissing the spectacle as a calculated political maneuver designed to destabilize the country and weaken ANC leadership at a time when the party was already struggling with internal divisions. Civil society organizations soon entered the debate. Some demanded an independent inquiry into Moni's claims, warning that outright dismissal would only erode trust further. Prominent voices on radio and television noted that the country had reached a critical breaking point. For too long, they argued, political leaders had relied on party loyalty and blind allegiance to shield themselves from accountability. Whether Moni's accusations were fully accurate or not, they struck a sensitive chord because they tapped into a larger truth: South Africans were fed up with the status quo. The looming question now was whether this moment signaled the downfall of Cyril Ramaphosa. Already grappling with an economic crisis and factional battles within his party, his presidency had been built on promises of fighting corruption and restoring trust in government. If Moni's allegations proved genuine, that entire narrative would collapse overnight. Whispers of a recall motion spread quickly through ANC corridors. Opposition parties sensed an opportunity, circling like sharks around wounded prey. Even some within the ruling party viewed this as a chance to unseat a leader whose grip on power had been weakening. Analysts warned that the ANC faced a pivotal choice: to stand firmly behind Ramaphosa without a thorough investigation risked the perception of complicity in wrongdoing, while acting against him too rashly could split the party into warring factions and leave the nation leaderless. Either path carried immense danger, and the decisions made in the coming weeks could determine not just the fate of the ANC but the direction of South Africa itself.